Hey, Steve Mignogna here doing the junkyard crawl at Bernardstown Auto Wrecking in Bernardstown, Massachusetts with Chevrolet's second front-wheel drive family car. This is the Celebrity, which launched in 1982 and ran all the way through 1990. Now don't confuse the Chevy Celebrity with the Chevy Citation, which arrived in 1980 and was Chevrolet's first front-wheel drive mass-produced car. The only other GM front-wheel drive car really would have been Cadillac Eldorado and Olds Tornado, which were big, thirsty personal luxury cars. But again, for the 1980s, the entirety of Detroit was going front-wheel drive as the Fed said, hey, corporate average fuel economy, if you guys don't make cars that save gas, we'll fine you. So CAFE was corporate average fuel economy, and the entire fleet had to make, I think, 19 or 20 miles per gallon. And that's why Chevrolet went away from rear-wheel drive and toward front drives like this one right here. Now in 1982, you might wonder why the A-body Malibu, Regal, Buick Century, all those cars went to the G-body platform from 1983. Why'd they go from A to G? Because General Motors absorbed the A platform name for the front-wheel drive Celebrity, making the rear-wheel drive a G-body. And by the way, the four-door Malibu and wagon went away after 1983, replaced by four-door and wagon versions of this thing right here. You can still get a Monte Carlo after 1983, but the rear-wheel drive passenger cars were gone, replaced by stuff like this. Now this is, of course, front-wheel drive architecture. Now the engine cradle has been removed, but here is the void where front drive used to go. And in fact, although this is not a Citation, this is, and again, this is Motor Trend right here. This is from 1979, April 79. We all know the drill on Motor Trend. Canceled? What do you mean we're canceled? But here it is right here, the all-new front drive Citation. And again, this rode on a 105-inch wheelbase. And again, the Citation truly was a breakthrough car in its time. And there it is right there, that transverse mounted engine up front. The point being that from the firewall back, the car had to do nothing but carry passengers and be efficient. Now we look at this, here we see at the top left, they spent $3 billion on a car called X. Was it worth it? Now, of course, Ro McGonigal, the author of this, was my boss at Hot Rod magazine from 1998 through 2005. Hello, Ro. Hope you're doing good. Now, Ro was at Superstock magazine, Carcraft magazine, and then Motor Trend, and then Hot Rod. So Ro was a lifer at Peterson and did a lot of good work. But again, here we have it right here on the right-hand side. That thing, that's the engine cradle, self-contained engine transmission, and all that stuff similar to the A-body Celebrity, which we're looking at right here and now. And if we look at the coil springs on this, or the front suspension, this is actually McPherson strut. These are the towers right here. And McPherson, it's spelled M-A-C-P-H-E-R-S-O-N, not M-C, but McPherson is a fellow from England, Earl S. McPherson, who in the 1940s patented the idea of having the shock absorber and the spring be able to turn and be self-contained in a structure that looks like this, McPherson struts. And the beauty of McPherson struts, they're gone here, but again, it gives you a nice big engine bay, it simplifies the steering, and makes room for lots of different stuff. Now again, it would have been a transverse engine here as Chrysler went to transverse engines on their K cars, their L bodies, etc. It was the thing to do because basically it tightened things up, put the transmission on the side of the engine, and made things a lot easier. Now this could have been had with a 2.5 liter four-banger with 92 horsepower, or for $250 more, a 2.8 liter V6 with 112 horsepower. Now we know this is the V6 car because right here, the emission label says 2.8 liters, so that was right there, proof of that. Another engine possible from 83 to 85 was a 4.3 liter V6 diesel. Yes, they actually had a diesel V6 that was possible in these things for just a few model years, and that had 80 horsepower, if you can imagine that. But again, the diesel thing was about helping GM get the best fuel economy as they could, helping to make that CAFE number as low as possible. CAFE, of course, corporate average fuel economy, where everything from the Chevette to the Corvette is added together, divided by the number of cars, and that would be 19.8 miles per gallon. If not, GM was penalized for each infraction. Now this one is a four-door, and again, about 200,000 of these four-doors were built versus 80,000 wagons and 29,000 two-door coupes. Yes, they made two-door Celebrities, but this is the most popular right here. 200,000 pieces made, and inside this one, this is the basic one with the bench seat interior. We have it right there. There was a Eurosport version of this. In fact, when I worked at Ragsdale Chevrolet in Spencer, Massachusetts in 1986, my driver, my demo, was a 1986 Chevy Celebrity Eurosport wagon, 2.8 V6, peppy little car. But again, this is the Consumer Guide new car comparison from 1984, and it shows us the vehicles that Celebrity went up against. On the left, we see the Celebrity was up against the Chrysler E-Class, which was basically a glorified K car, and the Ford LTD, which was rear-wheel drive on the Fox platform. So Ford hadn't yet come up with, a car like the Ford Taurus, but again, we see right here, they kind of liked it, the Celebrity. 2.8, 173 cubes, 112 horse versus 156 cubes, 101 horse in the E-Class Chrysler. And the Ford 3.8, big V6, a whole liter more than the GM, only at 120 horse, 8 horsepower more for a full liter bigger. Kind of an old car. Now performance, they see here, the carbureted V6 was hard to start on cold mornings thanks to that smog equipment, but performed well otherwise with lively acceleration and decent mileage. Standard suspension allows too much body lean and a flabby ride. Enter the Eurosport. At the bottom, passengers, well-designed interior, has room for 4 adults. Sit without squeezing, wind, road, and engine noise are well controlled. And the summary, modern family car, has good room and performance with the gas V8. Eurosport of F41 options will improve handling. And it's true, the F41 and the Eurosport was kind of a blacked out little sporty car and a decent little car with styled steel wheels. But this is just your basic bread and butter car. But again, this did have the V6, the 2.8, which was also used in Fiero and also the S10 pickup truck. Same basic engine, made a lot of different vehicles move down the road. And again, this is one of about 200,000 four-door sedans built, and in total, 2.15 million Celebrities were built in that 1982 to 1990 model run. At the back, nothing too exotic, no disc brakes, just drums, same stuff used on the X-Body Citation, right down to the snowmobile trailer beam axle, coil springs, and the little 9-inch drums, these things right here, which, look at the rust on this thing. That is astonishing. It just, it just goes to show that Mother Nature can take anything back to the raw ingredients. But again, this suspension here is not to be confused with the independent rear suspension that arrived on the 1984 Chevy Cavalier, which was also a modern vehicle. But also the Cavalier was a smaller J body, smaller than the A body we see right here. Let's check out the trunk on this one here. Yeah, pine needles. And here we have the tail. I don't have a key for this one, but the money on this thing is right there. I remember as a kid in traffic seeing 2.8 V6. Oh, that one is the hot motor. These actually did have a single exhaust, but there were 2 pipes that came out of the resonator at the back. So you kind of knew the V6 car had 2 little pipes coming out of the muffler. Kind of cool, but again, 173 cubes, 112 horse, not too shabby. This one here, the Rusty Jones. Here's the logo right here. That was a very popular after-sale item. When you're buying your car, the salesman would say, do you want to invest in your car's future? Well, then you want to invest in Rusty Jones, because Rusty Jones, hello Rusty Jones, goodbye Rusty cars. I was a salesman at Ragsdale Chevrolet in 1986, and it would have us upsell the Rusty Jones, and it was a fairly decent thing. And the trick was, we look on this car here, and we'll note down low, there's spots in the car where there's a hole drilled in the vehicle right here, and then a wand goes inside, and a wax-like hot resin would be sprayed into the rockers, the doorposts, and that was the Rusty Jones rust proofing. And I think it was like 280 bucks. And I remember as a salesman, my commission on Rusty Jones was almost equal to my commission on selling a car. So it was kind of a big deal to sell the Rusty Jones. And of course, that sticker showed that your car was protected from rust. This one's doing okay, frankly, except for that brake drum back there. But again, this is the basic family car, 6-passenger car. With a squeeze, 4 for sure, but you can get 6 people in this thing if you really wanted to. Column shifted, automatic, a 4-speed automatic here. Got cruise control, delayed wipers, these things right here, kind of cool. That was a big deal at the time. And again, you could get a manual transmission in these things, but it was very uncommon. So that's the story right here of how the GM A-body platform, the term was utilized for the Celebrity starting in 1982. And that's why right there, like the Buick Regal, the Chevy Malibu, the Monte Carlo, all went from A-bodies, 78 through 82, two G bodies, 82 through 88. So because the A body name was used on this, it pushed the G bodies out of the way, or the rear wheel drive cars, and this is where the A body became phase 2. Now that's the story again of the Chevy Celebrity, not to be confused with the Citation or the Cavalier, but again with 2.15 million of these things sold in like a 9-year production run. These really were very profitable cars for Chevrolet. Not a bad car for the day when Detroit was going front wheel drive. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the Steve Maggs YouTube channel. Give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and hit the bell so you know when the next video comes out, which is tomorrow